Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. This book does not have the reputation that Ryan Holiday does. Let's just admit it. It's the first book of his Stoic Virtues series. The second one, Discipline is Destiny, I just recently reviewed it, and it definitely had its moments, but some people were concerned that it might be like this one. Apparently this one was not the best to quite a few of you guys, so I wanted to check it out, share what I thought of it, and highlight any differences that stood out to me for those curious. These are the only two books out in the series, and I don't know what else Holiday has up his sleeve, so I suppose we'll see, but for now I'm going to summarize the book and review its chapters. I'm going to go over some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend it to, and what books to maybe check out next. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. There are three parts of this book. Part number one is fear. The story of Florence Nightingale was a pinnacle of what I figured this book would be about, and it's quite simple. When she was young, she felt this calling, you see, and that calling, it did require courage. So, as you can imagine, courage was calling her. You can only imagine what kind of rights that women in Britain had in the 1820s. Florence Nightingale, the thing is, she had a call for service. That's what the author referred to it as. You get to hear a fantastic series of mini rants about fear. Here's one small part that stood out to me. People would rather be complicit in a crime than speak up. People would rather die in a pandemic than be the only one in a mask. People would rather stay in a job that they hate than quit to do something less certain. They'd rather follow a silly trend than question it. Losing their life savings to a burst bubble is somehow less painful than seeming stupid for sitting on the sidelines while the bubble grew. They'd rather go along with something that will tarnish their legacy than raise their voice ever so slightly and risk standing alone or apart for even 10 minutes. This dude hates fear. Wow, and hate is probably an understatement. This far into Courage is Calling, I already kind of concluded that this is a very Ryan Holiday type of book. It's so Ryan Holiday, in fact, that it might actually even be too Ryan Holiday for Ryan Holiday's good. It almost like saturated itself with the amount of Ryan Holiday that's in it. It was essentially Ryan Holiday. Someone mentioned in a video I made about the other book in this series called Discipline is Destiny, someone mentioned that it's very average. I was kind of worried. Courage is Calling. Like, is this going to be an average book? It was a pretty average book for him. It's not disappointing. It's not spectacular. So it wasn't bad. I mean, there were a few things he did very well, but he's known for doing those things well. The two most notable are using a very wide range of examples in his work regarding all sorts of fields, from war to medicine to business and sports and the entertainment industry. This is not just a wide range of examples, but it's in a wide range of time periods, which I always loved so much about Ryan Holiday, probably more than anything else. From the turn of the 17th century, Shakespeare's Caesar, to the early 2000s, Peter Thiel coming out. I didn't know Peter Thiel was gay. Go Peter Thiel. Or Reed Hastings and overcoming his doubts before starting Netflix. Holiday makes sure to address what we are scared of deep down, like actually being ourselves and committing to our decisions, and also death. This dude has a lot to say about death. It's a pretty enlightening perspectives he has on that. Part two is courage. Basic virtues and principles like practicing your skills, just starting out, being decisive, boldness and courage, and more are spread out and giving example after example of Martin Luther King Jr., James Mattis, and Kitty Genovese, a lady whose death defined what's called the bystander effect. They are used in these examples. He said that when you encounter real courage in this world, you will feel its intensity before you see it. It won't manifest in a caricature of the thrill seeker or devil. Now let's talk formatting for a second though, because it hit me around this point in Courage is Calling. The way that this book is set up, similar to Discipline is Destiny, I don't really think did the book itself justice. Primarily, this one is centered around courage, and that one is centered around discipline. But there are so many small chapters in each book that he uses the stories to validate the validity of under each major part. For some reason, the way he did this with Courage is Calling, all of these moving parts together make the book seem kind of formless. Like, where are the actual chapters? Are these supposed to be chapters? They're not even numbered or lettered in the audiobook. I'm just not sure. Here's some of those names of these little chapters or whatever you want to call them. And it's not like he doesn't summarize them well, but I think there are just too many when he could have formatted them or presented them together in different ways, maybe more in larger groups together. Agency is taken, not given. When violence is the answer, to get up and leave. Do your job. You can beat the odds. It just seems a little half-assed compared to his other work. Probably the most critical thing I've ever said about one of his books. And I never would have expected the formatting of a book of all things to cause this. Although some of the autobiographies we review on this channel are a little yuck. Part 3 is the heroic. Something else that bothers me a little bit more about this book than his others is the lack of checking in with the reader or listener, for lack of better verbiage, asking, in a way, can you see how this applies to you or how it could apply to your everyday lifestyle? He doesn't give all that many everyday examples either that can apply like this. You'll get it sometimes, but not all too much. The CEOs who stares down incredible odds to further an exploitative, toxic business. The anti-vaxxer risking backlash and illness, literally going against the herd. A dictator who seizes power in a dazzling, daring coup? How casual does all of that really sound? This begs the question, Sam, does it need to sound casual? I think if you want to make a concept like courage more casual than it is in a society, which I'm guessing based on Courage's calling, that Holiday wouldn't mind such a thing, can we at least agree that it would make sense to make it sound casual? And the reason I'm asking this is because this is something that Holiday knows how to do. Check out his other books for yourself. Let's not pretend it's not, okay? Also, the absolute best part of the whole thing, I think, was the afterword with a personal story. It's sad, it really is. That had to do with like leaking naked photos and involving this major choice of, not his, this major choice of personal and moral courage. It was so badass on Holiday's part. It was chaos on a level that I'd never seen. I had to brave criticism and intrigue and all sorts of other nonsense. I would sit and be interviewed for a number of investigations. Ooh, investigations. I would sit and tell them where bodies had been buried and money had been wasted. I had convinced other people to share their stories and protected them from retaliation. I cleaned up long-standing messes and canceled policies that never should have been there in the first place. I comforted people. I tried to make things right. I worked long hours away from home while my wife waited patiently alone as we attempted to salvage the ruins of the company. It was exhausting. When I heard that, I got goosebumps. I realized there aren't really any personal stories in Courage's calling, and I wondered why this one was so damn good compared to the rest of them. I just don't understand all of this together. Also, at the end, he gave you a link to visit for the full bibliography, the whole citations of where I got this and where I found that, what books told me this and what pages. Apparently, it is just so long and not worth fitting into the audiobook, and I thought that was pretty gangster too. Quotes: when there is a line between cowardice and violence, I would advise violence. I think Gandhi actually is the one who said that. One way to remember who you are is to remember who your heroes are. Nobody gets credit for things that didn't happen. The best way to win a war is without fighting. A time comes when silence is a betrayal. Defeat is a choice, and the brave never choose it. Direction 1. I'm not really sure who I would recommend this book to, because what I think this book was meant to do has been successfully done more than once by Brené Brown in more than one way. Direction 2. If you like this book, check out The Power of Vulnerability or Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I think Holiday has done considerably better than this, so for him, I'd recommend Obstacle is the Way or Discipline is Destiny. He just tends to carry out his points in those with more poise, confidence, cohesiveness, clarity, and just overall organization. Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it, but hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.